May I ask why? Or should I ask why?
Should I ask why? Right.
Because Fred needs to watch TV.
No, this isn't real. This is not happening right now. Oh, no. Everybody, welcome to the Clear to Close podcast. I am Sean, your host here at Renown Mortgage. Really excited today. Got one of my favorite people on there as when I got back into real estate before I got into mortgages and business development and helping agents be successful. This was one of the people that I met him in Las Vegas of all places. That's the first place we actually met, and super nice guy. Everybody loves him, especially the people in Puyallup because he's in office there as well. So. Would you welcome my dear friend, Dennis King. Dennis, how are you doing, my friend?
I am doing fantastic, sir. How you been?
I'm good. You're fresh back from Amsterdam. Amsterdam, right? That's where you spent some portion leading up to the holidays.
Yeah, unexpectedly.
Yeah.
It was a good time and got a lot of stuff done out there for the family and was able to help out with some things out there. But yeah, never been, and it was an interesting experience, to say the least.
Yes, interesting experience. So it's true. The first place that you and I ever met, the first time I ever met you, obviously, because us people who are what I call follically challenged is the word that I like to use.
Hey, it's a choice. It's a choice.
It is, right. For some, others feels like God made the choice for me. He's like, this is what you choose. But I remember thinking, hey, there seems like a nice guy with a bald head and a smile. And so I walked over at I think it was the big EXP event, and you and your amazing wife were really kind to Stace and I. It was a real pleasure getting to meet you, and then obviously getting to know you over the years, who you are just as a person. I just, so I don't gush over everybody, but Dennis is easy to gush over because he's just a really nice guy, good people, great family. If you're familiar, you probably have seen his little wrapped, Dennis King going through town. I did it. I was on the way to my family's in Puyallup once, and sure enough, there it was coming through an intersection, vroom, and I was like, oh, there goes Dennis in his car. So I think I shot a picture of it really quick too and said, see, I just saw you. Well, listen, the point here of Clear to Close is we want to be an equiper, an encourager of agents, loan officers, people in the business alike, even people who are maybe looking for a loan officer or a real estate agent, and they just want to kind of find out a little bit more about people. Dennis, I just wanted to talk to you. I mean, first, what got you, what made you decide, hey, real estate, I want to do this?
Well, my previous business, which was a family business that my wife and I had the opportunity to buy from my parents in 2007, subsequently burned down in 2020, just 3 weeks after we were able to reopen. And so a couple months after that, I was sitting around, and I kid you not, it's probably the worst advertising tool of how I got into the business. I was watching $1 million listing. And I thought, wow, this is really cool. I want to do that. And I said to Melinda, hey, what do you think about, because we don't really know where we're going right now with our current business. Right. And so what if I got my real estate license? Do you think that's a good idea? And she said, absolutely. And so that was it. And, January, got my license, and off to the races I went. First year in business, I sold 4 homes.
Wow. Now, when did Melinda decide to jump in? Did she decide to jump in with you, or was it after the first year? Or?
Yeah, after the first year, I think she got her first crack at it. And first she asked me, she said, hey, would you mind if I work with you? And I said, well, we worked together for the last 13 years. I thought we were done with that. But I would love it if you came and worked alongside me again. We always worked well together. We know that not every married couple can do that. Sure. We get it. Sure. And we're a certain special of crazy to be able to do that. But, we have that opportunity to work together. And, she's absolutely outstanding. and I couldn't ask for a better partner to work alongside with.
Awesome. No, she's amazing. She's absolutely a wonderful person. I'm actually looking forward to having her on the podcast one time. I'll get the other side of the stories.
Do it.
Actually, Stace and I, my wife, when we were early in mortgages in 2001 during the boom, my wife had a cubicle. We actually, because we were a team in mortgages, we got a big cubicle, but it was still just the two of us in a cubicle. So we were, within 3 feet of each other. I think we spent the first, 10, 15 years of our marriage within, 3 feet of each other. And it was actually really funny. One day we were super busy. We were both busy with our own files. We were looking, and as I'm writing down the file, I wrote August, I wrote the date down, and I looked down at the date and I went, today's our anniversary. Today's our anniversary. And I looked over at my wife and I said, babe, today's our anniversary. She's like, what? So we were so busy. We'd both forgotten our anniversary, but fortunately we were close together. So we decided, put everything down. We're going to go to dinner. So you're right, though. It is rare. It's working with a spouse and working closely with a spouse, especially sometimes what can be a high stress, when you're dealing with files or multiple files or homes or closings or inspections. A spouse that could probably be a little bit of a challenge at times, but that's really cool. You guys navigate that super well.
Yeah, we've been blessed to be able to do that, and really, it's been a huge blessing to be able to work together and all the things that come along with it. Awesome. Well, I like to ask, the questions. What did you find now that you've been in real estate for several years? What are you finding, as the market shifting, right? Like this 2018, 19, all of a sudden 20, 21, woo! And then we had a kind of a little bit of this now, the market that we're kind of in now, and some people are projecting it's going to change. How have you navigated the ups and downs now that you've kind of experienced your first real arc trend, from arc to valley to what could be starting to head up? How do you navigate that personally as an agent? Yeah, you just have to be fluid with the business as a whole. You got to be able to move left, move right, back to left. Okay, we're going down the center. And you just really have to be in tune with, your buyers, your sellers, or maybe it's a little heavier on the listing side, for a few months, and then you move back to the buyer side for a little bit. But, our business has done fairly well, being very even, I will say. About 50-50, maybe a little heavier on the listing side. But, it's all about being able to ride that wave, whatever wave that is. And just because, economists say, housing is going to go down, people still need to buy houses. And, it's a process that you just have to be able to be fluid with and understanding, and don't let the negative news push you down. You have to be flexible. You have to be flexible. And so, I learned a lot the first couple of years. I knew this was going to be a 5-year plan before we actually did anything, substantial. So it's been working really well. And, these last couple of years have been really good to us. So we knew the process. We understood that it's going to take some time, and we built the business up to where it is. And we still got a long ways to go, but we're thankful to be where we're at.
That's awesome. Anything specific that you do that kind of is not maybe exclusive to you, but something that's like this is like, we talk about having the 3 legs, and some people don't. Some people have one leg and they do that leg so well, they don't need the 2 other legs. They dove into the deep end. I've talked to agents who they are callers. They're banger and clangers. They're going to call leads. They're going to call, they just get on the phone. Not everyone's wired for that. I was talking to another agent just recently, and they were like, I don't like rejection, so I don't get on the phone. And would you say that there's a couple legs to your business of what you do, farming or whatnot, or do you guys kind of just have a wheelhouse and you've stayed in it?
Yeah, I mean, I would say a big part of it is, brand awareness. You got to get yourself out there. Yeah. It's not who you know, but who knows you. Yeah. And that's super important in this business. So and it also helps, knowing people, of course, but in order to really thrive in real estate, it's all about who knows you.
Yeah.
You can know a lot of people, but in order to get business, you got to make sure that people know who you are,
Yeah.
people know what kind of business you do,
Yeah.
and how you can take care of your customers. So,
Yeah.
you want to make sure that you do the right thing all the time, and one snafu could really, really put you in the corner
Yeah.
for a little bit. But
Yeah.
not to say, we all have our ups and downs in business, and,
Sure.
we're all human, and sometimes
Yeah.
we make mistakes. In fact,
Yeah.
probably every single real estate agent makes mistakes
Yeah.
along the way.
Yeah.
But we learn from them and we move forward, and that's very important. And sometimes those mistakes can be very expensive. So,
That is true.
but it's guaranteed that you won't make that mistake again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most likely. And if you
So
do,
the high tuition for school. That is the high That's the high tuition for school. That's some people say failure is just tuition for success school. That's just
There you
that's
go.
the way you learn it. So obviously, you guys are, I mean, you could still say relatively like not new in the business, but still new to like finding that long-term success, but you've bridged the gap of where the agents who fall out in the first couple of years, you've stayed there. You were talking about mindset being really important, just, making sure that you're waking up every single day doing the thing. What would you say, like if you were going to talk to a young agent, what advice would you give a young agent in someone who's like woke up and just decided, 2026, I think real estate. Babe, what do you think? And Babe says yes. What advice would you give? And I think I want to dovetail that to, did you have any mentors who were helping you when you were getting started as well? So first of all, like what advice would you give? And two, what do you see the value of mentoring in 2026?
yeah, any new real estate agent, don't quit your day job. Don't quit your day job. I will say that I knew quite a few people, and quite a few people knew me even in my first year, and I only sold 4 homes.
Right.
The next year I sold, I think, 16.
Yeah.
The next year I believe I sold 24, and then 30, 36, and mid-30s again. So, it's again, you just have to make sure that you have all of your ducks in a row, and make sure you understand the business. There's so many things as a new agent that they don't actually teach you as you're going through real estate school. They teach you all the all the math and all the extra things here and there, and legal this and legal that, and
because this is going to get that deal closed. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and I wish that there were schools out there that would actually teach real estate agents the business side of things, and I think that more real estate agents would actually be far more successful. But that's what coaching is for, I guess. You got to get into coaching if you're new. It's not cheap. It is an investment. You're basically getting into a business to buy yourself a job. And, that can pay off if you keep pushing forward and, keep making headway there. As far as mentors go, I think mentors are huge. They're always going to be there to be able to answer those weird one-off questions. And I've had my fair share, and I won't say who I called, but I would call a particular person and say, hey, have you ever ran into this? And they've been in the business for 20 plus years.
Sure.
And they're like, no, all these years I've never dealt with that.
Right.
And I probably reached out to them, I would say at least 20 times, I would say on the low end, and say, hey, have you ever dealt with this? How would you approach that? And they would reply, I have no idea. Never experienced. How do you get these weird one-off questions? And I go, I don't know, but apparently I'm going to be brilliant by the time I get to my 20 years, because I'm going to know how to navigate all these weird odds and ends that come my way, and somehow they follow me. But mentors are huge. We have a great support staff that's able to help us out on the brokerage end that really does a good job with being able to answer any questions there with mentorship, as well as our DBs and all of that too. So, but those that have been in the business have been a tremendous help, not just here in Washington, but all across the United States. Just being able to ask questions and understand how they got to where they're at.
Right. Right.
And once you find your lane and your path, it really starts to snowball, and that's when you're able to start really building on that business.
I think that's probably one of the keys that I think what I'm learning as I'm getting older, and I'm doing that now. The being true to yourself, finding your lane, and doing it well, and not trying to be someone else, not trying to be a version of them. You can modify and take some things in. Ooh, I see that we're doing, and kind of apply that to your batter, so to speak, in the cake that you're making, which is your business. But at the end of the day, it's got to be you. You've got to be able to do what it is that you do, because one, you'll do it in consistency, right? If for some reason you're wired like I am for calling, and people would always say I can't take rejection, and I was like waiting for it to come, but it was because I just had a natural rhythm. I had a natural rhythm on the phone, and so even somebody who probably wanted to just cuss me out and hang up the phone, they're like, "No, we're good." So I never really had the. But I would notice like days that I was kind of off, it was like 1 or 2 days where I was just like, was a little discouraged that day. It came through in my tone, and those people would let me have it. I was maybe a little less confident, a little less perky. And I was just like, hey, is Doug there? And they'd be like, shut up, you fool. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Hang up the phone. But those were not the majority. Those were very much the minority. But finding what absolutely your lane is, and then just and staying consistent and getting up every single day and doing it, and just deciding you're going to get up the next day and do it.
Find out your rhythm, find out what your rhythm looks like, get your priorities straight, and just rinse and repeat every day. You got to be able to do the things in order to turn it over and get those clients brought in. And there's a thing to say about repetition. When you get your reps in, things start to snowball. Nobody likes going to the gym, but if you put, there's a lot of people that go to the gym and they love the gym, and I love the gym too. I just don't have time to go. But
I just love people at the gym. It's fun. It's so great.
And it's exactly, and it's a great way to start meeting new people, to be able to bring people into your sphere and possibly bring you some business. But you just got to be able to do the thing. Make the calls if that's your thing. Get into community service if that's your thing. You got to get out in front of people in order for people to realize, you sell houses, because for example, second year I was in business, I had a client reach out to me and they said, "Hey, we would like to sell our home. You came highly recommended." Great. I would love to help you. And I went out there and okay, we're getting ready. And, you follow up with them and, okay, how are things coming along? All right, great. We're almost done with the remodel and we're not going to sell. We're going to stay here.
Wow. Okay.
And you're like, all right, well, whenever you're ready. And we're thinking about moving, back east somewhere, and we'll let you know when we're ready. Probably in the next 6 months, 9 months, we'll be ready. We got a few more things we want to do.
Sure.
4.5 years later.
There you go.
And I kept following up. Every
being
quarter,
consistent.
just seeing how you're doing, how our project's coming, and good. We already moved back east, but we're having our kids rent the house from us right now, and so they're there, and great, that's fine, that's totally okay. Just don't forget about me, and so you always stay top of mind, and again, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. You have to be in front of people. And that's the big thing. It's a relationship business. You have to be able to be in front of people and not be afraid to talk. And you have to just make sure you're constantly pounding the pavement and getting in front of people on video, getting on YouTube, getting on Instagram, Facebook, all the things, whatever your niche is, wherever your business is, coming from, find that platform and excel at it. Now, if you want to go into other platforms, that's fine. But, whether it's email or Instagram, Facebook,
absolutely.
TikTok, all
Finding
the
your
things.
lane. I love what you said about communication. It reminded me of a story recently
Yeah.
that I heard from an agent who they've got a listing and they had some multiple showings at this property. And one of the agents that was you're representing a client that was, wanted to look at the property. They looked at it like 2 or 3 times. The homeowner looked at his spouse and said, I think that agent is Chuck from karaoke. I didn't even know Chuck was a real estate agent. So it's a friend of his from karaoke that he does karaoke with every single week, who he had no idea was a real estate agent, but is now showing his house. And I'm like, okay, buddy, you're doing something between songs that you need to shift a little bit. Or maybe he's just into it. Maybe he just doesn't want to interrupt the karaoke with talking shop. But Dennis, what is one of your I like to do this. I kind of like to close these out with, like, what was just your absolute oh my goodness real estate story? Like, and so I'm sure with you it's been amazing. Mine is the obviously now famous 30 bunnies. I think I'm adding bunnies now. 15 to 20 bunnies and a free Honda Civic sitting in the garage. That was the most mind-blowing thing I'd ever seen. What would you say your greatest real estate oh my gosh moment has been?
Yeah, they probably won't be watching this, so I'll
Okay.
say this, no, I'm kidding.
We need to edit this out.
No, you're good. I had a client once that they had moved out of their home. It was vacant, but they left the couch and they left the TV.
Okay.
And they said that the TV must remain on the entire time. And I said, oh, all right, yeah, that's not a problem. And she goes, don't move this couch either. Okay, sounds
now,
good.
This is a house you're listing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I said, well, do you mind if I move it for photos and then move it back once photos are done? And they said, yeah, not a problem. But just make sure that the TV stays on. And I said,
oh my word.
May I ask why? Or should I ask why?
Should I ask why? Right.
Because Fred needs to watch TV.
Uh-oh. No.
I said,
no, this isn't real. This is not happening right now. Oh, no.
And I said, who's Fred? Well, he comes and goes.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, not a problem. Fred can hang out with us during
that somewhere on the Form 17. Wow.
I didn't know who Fred was. I don't know if it was the next door neighbor.
Right. Didn't want to ask.
I didn't really understand who Fred was, so we left it at that. But and then the other one is, and this is kind of a big learning moment, I think, for agents too, and we're, I was just doing what my client asked me to do, and
sure.
and so we had fallen out of contract on one property, and we were putting it back on market, and we didn't hear back from the buyer's agent or anything, and so we put out a demand for earnest money to be turned into the seller. And it went to their TC. And that TC...
Transaction coordinator, for those of you who don't know, your TC. Yes.
Yeah. That TC took it, sent it to the buyers, sent it to the buyer's agent. Everybody signed, sent it back. And my seller received all of the earnest money right away.
Right.
And 24 hours later, the check had already been sent to the seller because it was already closed out. Everything was signed. Everything was good.
Okay.
And they called us and said, wait a minute.
I know
what did we sign?
Right.
And I said, I just sent over the earnest money demand. And there wasn't anything to be hidden about it. It wasn't trying to be sneaky or anything.
Right.
It was just what my client asked me to do. And I sent it over, and apparently you guys didn't look at it, I'm assuming. And they said, I thought it was for the buyer to get it returned to the buyer.
Oh,
I said,
Learning
well,
lessons 101. Yeah. Read.
I'm
Read.
really sorry, but that
Yeah.
was not what was
Right.
sent.
Oh,
So,
gosh.
agents,
Yeah.
read
Read.
what is coming to
Read.
you,
Read.
please.
Yes.
And
Wow.
it wasn't meant ill will or anything like that. It
Yeah,
was simply a
no.
demand because we were 3 weeks after we had fallen out of contract and we didn't hear anything.
Hey,
So
it is
we're
part
wanting
of
to
the
move forward,
process.
and that's a big learning moment, I think, for some
Big,
agents. And
big
so
learning.
just make sure you read what's coming your way.
Make sure you read. Well, okay. On that note, that we're going to wrap it up on that note. Read your contract. Read. Dennis, this has been absolutely amazing. Thank you for
You've been
jumping on.
great.
I do. I look forward to having Melinda on, and we'll get the other side of the stories. But I'm really excited.
Get
Just
the B
to,
side.
Yeah, no, but that's so good. I'm really excited that you were able to jump on, takes your time out of your busy schedule. If you're looking for anything, like I said, we have amazing agents that we love to connect with here at Renown. Dennis is one of those. He's an awesome, awesome guy. Can't say enough great things about him. His contact information will all be below. And again, if you are looking for anything in the mortgage industry, just information, hey, I want to know what rates are at right now, don't hesitate to reach out to us. That is why we are here. But for right now, clear to close, we are going to go ahead and end this day on your note. Read those contracts. It's very important. Dennis, thanks again, my friend, for coming.
Hey, thanks for the invite. Appreciate it.